This thicket is part of what remains of the polished grounds of a former orphanage. Let's see if there are any relics left. Here we go. Our first signal. It is in the higher mid-range, which can indicate large gold or small silver items. Let's see what it is. Ah, it is a medal. This is a medal that was probably given to an employee of the Brown Morse Company, a manufacturer of office furniture. The company was in business from the early 1900s until the 1970s. A person of great prominence, perhaps a salesman, from Brown Morse, had passed through these once magnificent grounds. There was an incident. The medal was lost. What other clues may be lying beneath our feet that could explain how this medal came to rest here? Let's keep searching to find out. In the meantime, we will put this back in the ground. It will be able to surprise the next person searching for treasure. Let's continue our search. Hello. My name is Nigel Grockle. I am an archaeologist on holiday, here in the States, looking for the past and not-so-past relics of America. Today, we are going to be exploring an overgrown part of a field surrounded by forest, on the outskirts of a New England city. This forest and field has had many uses over the past few centuries. It was the site of an orphanage 100 years ago. Previous to that, it was a farm going all the way back into colonial times. While old relics are hard to come by these days, we shall see if there are any treasures that have been missed by the scores of detectorists that have scoured this landscape over the years. Let's continue our journey through this enchanting location. Our next signal is but a few feet away from our first. It is a lower tone signal that is reserved for small gold coins or the occasional nickel. Let's peek underground to see what it is. Ah, as advertised, it's a nickel. It is a buffalo nickel. The most famous buffalo nickel variety is, of course, the three-legged buffalo nickel of 1937. These nickels feature a buffalo on the reverse which seems to have the front leg removed. Could this coin be a clue as to how our furniture manufacturer medal was lost? It is not enough to draw a conclusion, but it is a clue. Let's put this coin back in the ground. Perhaps the next detectorist will follow this same trail of breadcrumbs to find out the full story of what happened here. The interpretation of relics recovered at an archaeological site is a very important step in explaining the possible events that took place at that particular site. While excavation work is the glamorous part of archaeology, interpretation is the real aim for this work. The same can be true for metal detecting. While most detectorists will try to get the most expensive prizes from the ground, the rewards of recovering and putting in context seemingly ordinary objects can be more enriching than precious metals. One of the realities of hunting these sites today is that most valuables have already been recovered through decades of treasure hunting. Interpretation of what remains can become the reward one seeks. Another few feet from the buffalo nickel, we get our next signal. It is in the penny range. Let's take a look. Well, look at that. It is an angle bracket. It was both a decorative and structural feature of a piece of furniture. Its practical use is to reinforce a part that would have more than normal forces exerted upon it. Perhaps file cabinets? This could be another clue. Let's put this L bracket back in the ground. I have a feeling that this is a part of the puzzle as to what transpired here long ago. Now, let's continue our search. It is very exciting to see all of these clues tumble out of the earth. With each new clue, the focus becomes more narrow until the event that placed them in the ground is revealed. Yet still another few feet from the bracket is our next signal. It is yet another penny signal. Let's see what it can be. Well, that's a shame. It's the top of a whiskey bottle with the cap still fastened. The contents of this bottle met a violent end when this bottle broke. But why would a bottle like this find such a tragic end? Surely, this must be another clue. We'll place it back in the earth to paint the proper picture in the next person's head as to the events that placed these items in the ground. Let's continue on. I feel like the picture we are painting is almost crystal clear. Tying together artifacts to put into context can be a challenge. One can start to assume connections by the age of the items, as well as their proximity to each other. Once these connections are established, a timeline of events will emerge on its own. While searching just outside the former field and now thicket, we come across our next signal. Yes, you may have guessed it. It is another penny signal. Let's take a peek. Ah, as advertised, it is a penny. But it looks like it was shot by a handgun. The person who shot this was a very good shot. Could this be a clue? I have a hunch. But first, we'll place the coin back in its proper resting spot. When all of the work of collecting artifacts and interpreting their meaning is concluded, the resulting story that emerges can be incredibly revealing as to what actually transpired. It is an almost jarring experience. I think we have time for one more clue before we can reveal the story of what transpired here so many years ago. Ah, and finally, we have a higher signal that is a perfect silver quarter signal. Let's have a look. Ah, yes. Brilliant. Now that is a proper silver quarter. It is an 1893 Barber silver quarter. It was named after its designer, Charles Barber. It is in fair shape. It has obviously been circulated. What a great find. Let's put it back in the ground so it can surprise the next treasure hunter who happens upon it. With this last find, we are now ready to draw conclusions as to what happened here so many years ago. As there was not a name tag found, we will call the mysterious traveler who passed through here Horace Pimbleton. The artifacts we found today tell his story. And here it is. Horace Pimbleton was an ambitious salesman at the Brown Morse Furniture Company. The day of the incident, he was visiting the orphanage to inspire the young children to become the innovators of tomorrow. He had revealed his latest idea to help the company grow. He was going to propose to implement his new invention, the eye bracket. It would make furniture stronger and more durable. Sister Evelyn, who had been listening intently, suggested a slightly different idea. What about an L bracket? This could reinforce the very vulnerable corners of furniture. They had been using them at the orphanage for many years. As a matter of fact, they would give him one as a sample. Horace was exhilarated. He wanted to rush back right away to the company and tell them about the new idea of the L bracket. He thanked everyone and hurried away. It was nighttime by the time he left the orphanage. He was only a couple hundred yards into his trip when he heard rustling in the woods. Then a shot rang out. Horace dropped everything as he tried to sprint into the shrubbery and possible safety. In the process, he lost his medal, as a branch snagged it. He had also lost his lucky nickel as he was flipping it in the air the moment the shot rang out. As he tripped through the shrubs, the bottle of celebratory whiskey he had just purchased slipped from his hand and smashed on the ground. But worst of all, he lost the L bracket. When he returned to the company, he could not recall the bracket in question and feared that perhaps the nuns had fired at him intentionally, as they may have had a change in heart in revealing this new L bracket. He then proposed his original idea of the I bracket, which quickly lost money for the company, and a move from which the company would never recover. But what about the shot fired? It turns out it was just a group of deer hunters, target practicing. One had just shot a penny. Having heard the commotion and glass breaking, they all ran off in different directions. One of the scattering deer carelessly dropped the barber quarter, which was to be the next target. And all this history has been revealed once more, just by finding a handful of clues in this very forest. Fascinating! But we are out of time for today. We shall revisit these woods to reveal more of the history it holds. Thank you for keeping me company. We'll see you next time.